candidates about your job. That means you'll start getting great candidates with the right experience almost as soon as your job is posted. No wonder 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day.
So
the right candidates are out there. This is how you find them. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Put it outside.
People from businesses of all sizes trust ZipRecruiter for their hiring needs.
Why would I have
We're
left?
so confident ZipRecruiter will get you better results than anywhere else. We'll let you try it free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hi, this is Jennifer Coolidge. The American Heart Association says the disco song Stayin' Alive is the near-perfect beat for hands-only CPR. If you see a teen or adult collapse from cardiac arrest, you only need 2 steps to help save a life. Call 911 and push hard and fast in the center of the chest to the beat of the song Stayin' Alive.
Right, 10 seconds.
Back and it's saving lives. To learn more, go to heart.org/hands-only-CPR.
Nationally supported by the WellPoint Foundation.
You got YouTube rolling?
Yep.
Figured as much.
Dunc and Holder on a Thursday, January 4th. My day of reckoning. Seemingly, humanity is excited for today. I did not sleep well last night, and it had nothing to do with any busted pipes or cold weather. I just did not sleep well last night. Why would that be? Why would I not sleep well? I'm worried about the Saints game.
Were you tossing, turning, or what? I mean, were you just...
My mind was racing a little bit.
Anxiety riddled?
Yes, just because by the end of today, I will be a cue ball. I mean, I've got some great friends. Facebook, they're sending me pictures of cue balls, just me getting head shaved, all of that stuff.
You realize
all of that jazz.
Today, you're going to hit the pillow with a bald head. I mean, you're going to feel a totally different sensation when your head hits the pillow. Or you might not feel anything if
I numb my head enough.
Numb yourself with some brown liqueur.
Well, fortunately, we're going to Tracy's, so it should be pretty ezy for you to, get liquored up good enough to where you won't feel anything, or at least won't remember it.
Do you wonder why that's the point we're having it there?
Yeah.
Did you
No. I fully
that?
realized that was intent.
Right. So just a heads up. Got to shave my head today. Saints won 10 games. I didn't think they'd win 10 games. I made a grand proclamation in September. Book it that they would
Dave,
not
we got
win
that
10
video.
games.
Cue that up.
And it's in the post on NOLA.com. Hair today, gone tomorrow. The post that I wrote and mocked myself, even though I did say that my hair should be considered the 8th wonder of the world. Sorry, Andre the Giant. My hair is more dynamic than you.
Going back watching that video, you were so confident.
Very confident.
You were definitely.
Which is why I have to pay the price.
Exactly.
It's exactly what. 6, I will shave my head on the show.
Okay.
Wow.
You heard it.
Speaking of hot takes.
You heard it.
It's not a hot take.
I'm cutting that today.
That's how much I feel like that this is not going to work.
We're going to do that, by the way, at the R Bar.
Which we're not doing it at the R Bar.
We'll do it there.
Nope. We're not doing it at
We're not doing it there, but the best part was when he goes, book it.
Yes, exactly. But no, we will be doing it at Tracy's Magazine and 3rd Street Irish Channel. Come on out. I've gotten plenty of notices of people coming. NOLA.com. If you're not going to be able to come out, NOLA.com will have this thing heavily documented. Live video on our YouTube feed, on our Facebook feed. We got anything else we need to do live? Are we going to have like live tweeting updates?
Probably.
Of course.
I'm already talking to some of the folks in the group right now about who's going to be doing what, and there's going to be video. So yes, there's going to be the Saints YouTube where we have our loyal YouTube followers. You're going to be able to see it there. You're going to be able to see it on the Saints YouTube page. We're going to share it to the NOLA News account, and then we're going to have pictures, and then a post, a recap video later that either we're going to do tonight or tomorrow.
My God.
And then of course, yeah, we're blowing this thing out of the water.
What do we have a? What do you call that? Apron or whatever.
Oh yeah, when you go to the barbershop.
Yeah, what is that thing called?
We're probably just going to use paper towels from Tracy's.
I mean,
That's
we need
probably
to
what's going to
think
happen.
this through. I know we got clippers. I say I know.
That would actually be a cool
Jeff
thing.
told
like,
me he had clippers.
You have enough napkins for a roast beef po' boy, and then enough for Larry's hair on the side.
Look, I have a big head, as in like figuratively. We all know that.
Literally and figuratively.
I don't know literally. We're gonna find out literally.
Dave Baker's got a big head.
He is he is the
biggest head in the world.
Head of the Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Easter Island head.
He is the hugest human being maybe I've ever met in my life, and that's no joke. That is no joke. Well, let's see. I've interviewed Yao Ming before, so he's pretty.
Yeah,
he's a pretty big
dude.
guy. But
George Murasan was big.
Exactly. But is this really that important to humanity?
Yeah.
That seems
Clearly.
a little crazy, but I'm all for it.
Hey, man.
I'm all for it. Let's do it. Let's go big or go home.
That's how you do it. That's how you live life.
And so we're
that's
going
what we're gonna do.
real quick, though, we are going to do some kind of ceremonial shot to kick off the occasion.
There's no question.
So have we decided what we're doing?
Ceremonial shot.
I don't know, but here's the way it's going to go. And we haven't even figured out who is actually going to do the snipping / clipping / shearing. So here's what we've got planned. The plan is around 4 o'clock, I think we're going to just take little, like, nibbles at my hair. Like, little nibbles.
Get it down.
Of scissors and, like, I don't know, just make your best sales pitch. I'm sure people are going to come out of the woodwork. Make your best sales pitch. It could be, hey, Larry, I want to do it, and be like, okay, here's the scissors, and you'll just take a snip. And then probably around the 5 o'clock hour and into that hour will be the major shaving. And I know I'm going to be chiming in on Corey Johnson's show from 4 to 6. People are going to want to hear that live here on the station, so we're going to have some live updates.
So we're
for
going to
Sports 1280 as well.
We're going to get you down to like a kind of a flat topish kind of thing, and then we're going to go with the clippers.
I doubt it. It depends on. I mean, if people come up and that's going to be a lot of hair to snip off. Just if we're doing little nibbles, so it's probably going to be disjointed. So there'll be plenty enough.
Probably.
So
no doubt.
So it'll probably be where you take the shears and still just do the old Britney Spears like through and
Right.
That's what.
Yeah,
it
I'm
is.
thinking stripes. Remember stripes? Just. But I like the let's draw
You
this.
gotta
thing out.
have a nibble. Everyone's going to want to taste.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I thought about that's negative towards that strategy is strictly the documentation, the footage. But maybe we can get that edited.
Well, the head shave, I mean, people are going to want to just see. I'm pretty sure we're just going to go live when it's just going to be like the complete buzz. I think that's what we're going to do.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Yes.
I'm excited. We'll do a ceremonial shot to kick things off. And for listeners out there, our loyal YouTube audience, just know that tomorrow's show probably won't be the best we've ever had. I'm just guessing ahead of time, making a prediction.
Don't worry, I'm the only one that's going to be sane since I'm hopped up on every kind of cold medicine you can get right now.
I've locked up guests for tomorrow, so we've made
guests.
that. And you'll also hear from Drew Brees, Teron Armstead. You'll be hearing, it'll be heavy Saints-Panthers tomorrow, you would assume. So
Let's just hope we get here.
Let's just hope we get here. But no, look, it's going to be a great time this afternoon. I deserve to pay the price. I'm going to pay the price. So that's what we've got. Now, as far as today's show, got plenty to talk about. My goodness, up in Baton Rouge. First, Dave Aranda's leaving, then he's staying. LSU almost beats Kentucky, so we're going to talk to our own Andrew Lopez, NOLA.com Times Picayune covers LSU up in Baton Rouge. We'll talk with him around 10:30. Then, top of the 11 o'clock hour, I've got an interview I did with Raphael Bush yesterday in the locker room. And it's about a column that's going to be coming out later on in the week, and it's about how much Sean Payton's temperament has maybe changed or not changed as far as this season. I mean, we've seen him go a little bonkers on the sideline. I think that's being polite, a little bonkers. Others might call him looking like a psycho.
I think Raphael Bush is a great person to talk to for that because he's seen a lot of Sean Payton over the years. He was with him before, he's with him after, and he's had interim periods with other teams.
Exactly.
For perspective.
Exactly. So actually for that column, I ended up talking with Cam Jordan, Teron Armstead, and Raphael Bush and some others. So basically people who have been around since 2013 or before that and just seeing Sean Payton's demeanor and, of course, his excitement of getting ready to get back in the playoffs. First time the Saints have been in the playoffs since 2013. So we'll hear from Raphael Bush. And then also in the 11 o'clock hour, we'll hear from Alvin Gentry and Anthony Davis. They actually went to Utah and won. They actually went to Utah and played some defense. They still turned the ball over way too many times. And even got sloppy at the end of the game when they were up. And, of course, it bumped their turnover stat to 20 turnovers in a win. which I'm sure you love, Jeff.
Well, no, I thought last night was a big game for them to come back after losing those 2 home games and see what they're made of. I actually thought they would play really well last night. Look, Rudy Gobert's not out there. That's a huge thing for Utah. They have no one that can counteract Cousins and AD inside. So I expected them to win that game, and they took care of business. Now let's see if they can continue. We've been here before, right? Let's see if they can continue.
My legs are so tired from jumping on and off the bandwagon. I don't know what to do anymore.
I know. But look, they did answer the bell. They needed to. That's a good road win. And as Will wrote, the team is still in this thing. It's just hard to feel much confidence that they're going to go on any kind of run because they haven't shown it yet.
No, they have not shown
no consistency.
Any consistency. And you thought through this early stretch of January and leading into the end of December you could pick up some wins, but we've seen 2 bad losses. But look, they rebounded. We'll dive into that as well. And look, we want your phone calls. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved in any of these topics. And Jeff, why don't we take a break right here? When we get back, let's go through our own thoughts on this Dave Aranda insanity up at LSU.
Insanity.
It's insanity.
It's not insanity.
It is total insanity.
This is going back. This is starting to feel like when the long snapper got cut.
I knew this was talking about Dave Aranda, long snapper, a little bit.
Insane.
One is more insane than the other. It is no. The long snapper. It was insane that they had to have like 8 long snappers. That is insane. They had one for like 10 years with Kevin Hauser. They had one for like 8 years with Justin Drescher. Then they had like 6 in camp. What's up with that?
I think you thought that it was going to undermine their entire season and that the guy was going to be snapping balls up into the crowd and dribbling them back to the punter.
It was like snap or watch.
If he was already good enough, if he was already good enough.
How many went too high? How many went too low?
Has anything happened all year with the snapper?
No. If he was already good enough, he would have been on a roster.
That snapper could walk in here right now in the studio and I wouldn't know who he is.
Is it Zach Wood?
I think so.
Is that his name?
He's the most anonymous saint on the roster.
It's good. It's
and
good that I don't know
he's doing
his
his job.
Exactly.
I bet Herbie Teope's got a profile planned as we speak.
He hasn't done it already?
I'm shocked.
Who knows? So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder.
Hi, Eric Asher, host of
the long snapper's a big deal.
The long snapper's a big deal, guys.
Sports, politics, and
there was something I had to talk about on the show, and I can't freaking find it.
Looking forward to joining the crew, as we'll tell it like it is each and every day.
I made my pick for Amos. Did y'all turn your picks in, or do y'all doing picks?
No, New Orleans.
You get a strong opinion each and every day.
I gotta remember what I said yesterday.
Now, that's the keyword.
I know. I did. I got to
30,
morphed mine a little bit.
Confirming entry.
I made mine
plus iHeart
31-17.
Radio info.
I think I said
Standard
a little
data
more than that.
Yeah, you were like 31-13. I was like, whoa.
to
Picked them
200,
to cover the spread, though. I think there's 7
Get organized inside and out at the Store More Save More event going on right now at the Home Depot. Declutter in a big way with the Home Depot's HDX 4-tier shelf.
When I was at dinner
it's a
last
special
night,
buy at just $19.88.
the wait stuff kept coming
it's
up
easily
asking about the
assembled
game.
with
Everybody
no
was into
tools
the game.
required. And it can handle up to 600
And a lot of
pounds
them are
of your
scared
stuff.
to death. I guess
Storage
that's just
needs
the
come in all
natural
shapes and
anxiety of
sizes.
Saints fans.
So do
Yeah,
Storage
of course.
Solutions
They're
at the
all
Store
like
More Save More event.
On edge.
Only
Yeah, they all
And the
think
closer
they're
they get to
gonna
Sunday,
lose.
it's like,
More doing. Valid
I
through
know,
February
it's
4th,
weird.
available in store and online
They'd
while
be more
supplies last.
confident.
The Starlight Lounge presents an evening with the Progressive Box.
Sounds like Corey Johnson. Mandina's.
Well, no, now you got Asher who will seduce you to go to Katie's.
Right.
All his restaurants.
Katie's is very good, though.
Well, of course. Well, Mandina's is good.
Katie's is good, too, yes.
Trey Yen.
I mean, and Trey Yen's awesome, but
all good.
I don't want to, like, lather my chest in
Garlic butter.
Progressive Casualty Insurance
and
Company
almondine
affiliates.
sauce.
But that sounds so good.
Hi, it's
Mandina's.
Jamie, Progressive's #1 and #2
Garlic
employee.
butter
Please
all
don't
over your
forget-
earlobes.
Hey, Jamie, it's
We're
me,
in such a
Jamie.
good mood
This
today.
is your
Tomorrow
daily
we're
pep
going to be
talk.
like,
Tomorrow, too, y'all going to be
We're going to need a full day on Saturday.
Like,
We'll need Friday and
You
Saturday
will
to
bounce
recover.
back. I mean, you're the guy always helping
fully.
people find coverage options with the Name Your Price tool. It should be you giving
I
me
went
the
to pick up Bradley.
Get
Bradley
out
will run in
there,
the park.
hit that
There's a
high
huge
note,
house
and take
fire
Mad
down the
Harmony
street.
all the way to Nationals
Flames
this
shooting
year.
up. I go, I better go down there with my
Sorry,
phone.
pitchy.
DeMarco already on the scene. It's insane. That guy's like everywhere.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
So apparently Texas A&M wants every nice thing that LSU's ever had.
Even though it didn't work the last time they tried?
Well, they successfully wooed John Chavis away, but that did not pan out. They don't have exactly the same. Look, Myles Garrett can't play every defensive position. I mean, he just can't, so it's not going to work out. And, look, Dave Aranda, the apple of your boy Jimbo Fisher's eye. I know how much you love Jimbo.
Yeah, not a fan. That's a big loss for him not to be able to pull that off now. I don't know what direction A&M goes.
They were all curious as well.
All in on Aranda.
Maybe they give Greg Williams a call. I don't know, Rob Ryan. Why not? Rex Ryan. They all need jobs.
Out of a JOB, right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think he's going the college route, guys.
I think it's interesting what's going on up in Green Bay. It looks like Mike McCarthy's cleaning house on his entire staff almost.
And he gets an extension.
And Aranda was rumored.
I think that was part of it.
Yeah, Aranda was rumored to be up there as well. But look, here's what happened. And we're going to get the latest from Andrew Lopez, who's been covering this more in depth. And I'm basically just spewing off what he's been reporting. And others have been reporting that Dave Aranda looked like Texas A&M. This was according to Houston Chronicle. Looked like they were set on him. And it would have happened as early as yesterday. Then LSU apparently swoops in. And now Dave Aranda is a very, very rich man remaining with the LSU Tigers. $2.5 million a year for a defensive coordinator in college. That is, he was already the highest paid assistant coach in college football. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
And now this? Wow.
Well, Dave Aranda and his agent played this very well, perfectly, and I'm not saying they're extorting LSU, but that's the game you play when you get an opportunity and you get interest. I knew Dave Aranda is very happy. He and his family are happy in Baton Rouge, so it was going to take something really good to lure him away, either a head coaching job or a big-time raise, and he got that from A&M. And so, look, kudos to LSU for stepping up. I've said all along, LSU has as many resources, and they commit as many resources to football as anybody in the country, and it just shows when they want to make something happen, they can.
It would have been a complete catastrophe if
Yes.
Dave Aranda would have left, because they wouldn't spend anywhere near the money on – well, who would be worth the money that you would go get? Dennis Allen, maybe? I don't know. Of course, I'm joking, but you'd have to go totally over the top. You'd end up paying the defensive coordinator more than you pay O.
Well, it's complicated by the fact that A&M's in their division. You're losing out to a rival.
And you'd have lost out again.
Right. And I think the optics would have been very bad for 1 year into the gig. You lose your most valuable coach on the staff, and you're already probably going through a change on your offensive side. You're going to have to hire both coordinators. There's no way they could allow that to happen. So LSU recognized that, stepped up, and they're making Dave Aranda the highest paid assistant by far now in college football.
When we talked about the Green Bay connection yesterday, I felt like that would be something that Aranda would rather explore. Maybe he has, and I don't know it for a fact. Maybe he has. If his agent is playing it this well between A&M and LSU, I'm assuming his agent is also talking to other places, NFL places as well.
I don't think there's any doubt. And he's eventually going to leave. He's too hot a commodity. Somebody's going to make him a head coach. But I would say this. He seems, just in the little time I've spent with Dave Aranda, more of a coordinator type than a head coach type. He's very cerebral, quiet, doesn't yell on the field. I mean, he doesn't really carry a room, but he's incredibly well prepared, and his defenses we've seen. I mean, they don't lose a lot of games for LSU.
Would you liken him to, say, someone like Pete Carmichael, as far as someone we deal with a lot?
Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Kind of that similar kind of mentality, very cerebral, almost bookwormish.
Knows what he's talking about, can get a game plan going and get it done, but look, Pete Carmichael is one of the nicest guys like you'll ever meet on planet Earth. I just can't see a football team running through a brick wall for the guy.
No,
as a head coach,
I don't see,
and probably the same way with Dave Aranda.
Yeah, I don't see Pete Carmichael banging the shoulder of Dirk Cutter after a game, or making the choke sign to Devontae Freeman. Not that all head coaches do that.
No, not all head coaches do that. No, Woody Hayes literally chokes people. That's the next step for Peyton, to choke someone.
Well, Peyton, the pro and con of Sean Payton, and the reason I think he's fit in so well here in New Orleans, in Louisiana, is because he's passionate, and that's a hallmark of all New Orleanians, all Louisianans. Passion, and sometimes it might cross the line, but it's better than being boring, and that's not Sean Payton.
Well, I think that's why you say passionate, and why LSU fans would have lost their minds if they would have lost Dave Aranda, because we don't know what's going on with Matt Canada as far as when is he going, is he staying, what's the relationship like. All signs pointed to him being out, and yet there's been a few days that's passed, and I'm assuming he's still employed by LSU. I'm assuming that.
Yeah, I don't know what's
going on.
Otherwise. We need to get to the bottom of that. That seems like a very weird situation.
Well, clearly they need to get to the bottom of that, because if they haven't, if nothing's been announced since the bowl's been over, and usually, I mean, once you lose a bowl game, there's really not much else there to kind of tie up or wrap up. I mean, at that point, it's, well, you've already lost the bowl, so pretty much everybody's ready for spring. So just do what you need to do now. It's just gonna seem as if it's one thing after another, dominoes falling, so you can just pick all the stuff back up in February. But if they haven't announced anything yet, it almost makes you wonder maybe if there's some mending of the fences there. And then with this Dave Aranda poaching or potential poaching by Texas A&M, it makes you wonder if maybe there's some kind of backroom talks going on to maybe see that they can salvage this and going into another year.
Or maybe they're going to use the money that they're going to save by not having to pay Matt Canada and give it to Dave Aranda. And they go cheaper on the offensive coordinator style.
Here's what I worry about with Steve.
I don't know. Hey, you got a budget. You got to balance a budget.
If they transfer the offensive coordinator duties to Steve Ensminger, and I like Steve Ensminger. I covered him for a number of years over the years in LSU. But I think they're going to have trouble, in my opinion, attracting an elite quarterback prospect to LSU. That seems like a very, I don't want to call it a downgrade, but it's just not, it's uninspiring. And I don't think there's going to be some five-star prospect that says, I need to go to LSU.
But what's crazy about that, Jeff, though, is that Steve's been doing a lot of the recruiting. He's been helping a lot with a lot of the recruiting and going into the kids' homes. And so
he's a good recruiter, yes.
So, I mean, that's at least maybe a part of the equation that is a little bit helpful in that regard, because at least he's going face-to-face with the kids. He's going face-to-face with their parents. And while he may not have the name Matt Canada and may not be the quote-unquote offensive coordinator, most kids and parents would feel as comfortable if he was their offensive coordinator, if anything, because he's been in those rooms already.
But it's the system is more what I'm worried about. Like the image of that program's system is not really cutting edge offensively, and that's what players want now. They want to see, can you get me, at least elite quarterbacks, can you get me to the NFL? And look, if they keep Ensminger, I would really lobby Ed Orgeron to bring in a great quarterbacks coach that's going to, I don't know, that's got NFL pedigree or something. Bring in a Rohan Davey or somebody like that that's got NFL experience that you can sell to these top quarterback prospects. I watched Georgia play the other day with was it Fromm? Is that his name? I mean, that kid's going to be in the NFL. There's no doubt in my mind. They've got Jacob Eason, who's probably either going to transfer, and he was an elite quarterback prospect. And then Clemson, Kelly Bryant is sitting atop the depth chart, but right behind him they have, I think, Hunter Johnson, who was the number one prospect in the country a year ago, and then they just signed the number one player in the country, a quarterback. They're going to have to compete with these top elite programs. They've got to get the quarterback position fixed.
All right, a little bit of breaking news here on the LSU front, and then we'll take a break and we'll talk with Andrew Lopez. Arden Key, no surprise, puts on Twitter he will be entering the 2018 NFL Draft. Talent-wise, I'm curious to see if that overcomes some of the injury / off-the-field issues. I'm sure he's going to be heavily vetted in the draft process because people were thinking that guy might be the number one overall pick, say, a year ago, and now there's going to be some question marks around him. So I'm curious to see when you get to combine time and you get to some of the visits and the workouts and the pro days, how he responds and how he impresses or doesn't impress some teams moving forward.
Yeah, I think his draft stock is going to either soar or plummet at the combine. He's the kind of guy that I think will light it up at the combine.
Yeah.
He's like a Barkevius Mingo who lit it up and got drafted. I'm not saying his career would end up like Kiki Mingo, but he is the physical freak. I mean, there's no question about that.
No doubt about it. Now, the early mock draft I'm seeing from NFL Draft Scout, Rob Rang, has Key going number 7 to the Jets. That's pretty high. So, I mean, those guys are hard to find, and pass rushers are in big-time need in the NFL.
And it'd be crazy for them to take or at least for the second straight year, take a highly ranked LSU defensive player after taking Jamal last year. And obviously, Jamal's paid dividends from first year right off the bat.
The Jets might need a quarterback, so they might want to draft that.
Also that's a good
Christian
point.
Hackenberg. What are you talking about?
By the way, Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold said they're going to the NFL draft, another non-shocker of the year.
Within like an hour of each other. It was like 30, 40 minutes.
It's like someone wants to one-up the other up in L.A. So
there's word that Lamar Jackson potentially might come back to Louisville. Just throwing that out there.
He wants to win a second Heisman. I feel it.
There's no way that's going to happen, but it's trickling out in Louisville now that he's thinking about it.
Trickling out. So, by the way, well, I'll mention that later on in the show. Another Louisvillian doing well, who we've harped on in a good way on this show. So why don't we come back here, talk with Andrew Lopez, covers LSU for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. So come on back, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Speaking of Louisville,
leading
tackler in the NFL this year, Preston Brown, Buffalo.
Some time to get away.
All these rumors.
Happy Thursday from the Fox 8 Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Shelby Latino. And after a chilly start,
That is Billy Ocean. Yes. That is Billy Ocean.
Social Club, yeah.
Another very cold one on tap with temperatures dropping into the 20s, meaning a freeze warning will be in effect for the South Shore and a hard freeze warning.
Eddie Grant.
Areas north and west of the lake. From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shelby Latino.
I'm sure y'all seen the tweet. Marshawn Lattimore, defensive rookie of the month.
With Kareem Hunt.
You to choose licensed
he's going to win it.
He's going to win it.
Kareem Hunt's going to beat him out. Beat out Kamara.
I think we need a bunch of, in the second hour, we need a bunch of hair songs.
Ooh,
like hair bands
or just hair metal.
This is the guiding
Long, beautiful hair.
Drives
Remember that song?
Guard
It's like a 1970s.
I would never know. Don't just stop. I don't know what that is.
You don't know that?
In schools, offices,
old
and factories.
Where are you going?
To be a guard soldier is to stand ready to serve at all times for family, for community, and for country. To learn more, log on to NationalGuard.com or contact an Army National Guard recruiter in your area.
Title song from Hair.
We got Lopes.
By the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive #1, #2 employee. Leave a message at the...
30 seconds.
Hey, Jamie, this is your daily pep talk. I know it's been rough going ever since people found out about your a cappella group, Mad Harmony, but you will bounce back. I mean, you're the guy always helping people find cover jobs with the Name Your Price tool. It should be you giving me the pep talk. Now get out there, hit that high note, and take Mad Harmony all the way to Nationals this year.
Perfect headline.
Sorry, it's pitchy.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match.
Of course, they made myself sound like a lunatic.
Your teams, your Sports 1280 New Orleans.
Welcome back to Dunc and Holder. Joining us on the show, our own Andrew Lopez, covers LSU for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. And Lopes, you have been following my hair drama. Are you going to be coming down today, or are you just going to be chiming in on YouTube and Facebook and CNN and whatever other national news outlet's going to be covering this thing?
See, I would come down, but my fear is that other things will break on the LSU beat just because I'm down there. Just like, Dave Aranda gets hired gets rehired, I guess, in the final minutes of the LSU-Kentucky game. So something bad will happen if I leave Baton Rouge today. I can just feel it.
I felt for you because as that was happening, because I was watching the game and following, of course, on Twitter and all that's happening, I'm like, Lopes is probably ready to get the dull end of a butter knife and start hacking away at his wrists.
It was not fun. I think at one point it was maybe it was a timeout with like 3:12 left, and I just remember sprinting out of the PMAC to make phone calls, get the confirmation, tweet the confirmation, and the only thing I could say was confirm Dave Aranda's coming or staying. Oh, by the way, I'll have more after this game.
Right.
And then Chris took care of the rest, but it was it was wild last night, man. Yesterday as a whole was just a crazy, crazy day.
So, Lopes, what's the story? Like, what happened? Can you kind of give us the narrative of was he close to going to A&M, or was this strictly a negotiating ploy?
No, this was not a negotiating ploy at all. This wasn't Dave just trying to get more money. He told them no the first time, and Texas A&M was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. And they came back with a lot more money. There was some talk that it was possibly $3 million. I was told that was not the case right away. But I had a feeling that LSU's cap on this was going to be $2.5 million. And that's where you saw A&M made it hard, but LSU did get their meeting with Aranda, and they were able to convince him. Obviously, you kind of maybe knew that it was going in that direction when Joe Oliva was already at the game when it tipped off at 7:30. Verge Osbury, one of the assistant ADs, kind of showed up midway through the game, and I think at that point you were like, okay, well, if nobody's over there talking to Aranda, something's official. So he wants to kind of stay here, and I think with this deal, it lines up perfectly. Chris pointed this out to me last night, our Chris Dave. Aranda's deal now times perfectly with Ed Orgeron's deal in 2021. So it's possible he could be looking at maybe being the head coach when Orgeron is done, or he knows what kind of defense he has here. This defense can be special next year. He loves Devin White. He gets one more year with him, but they just paid him a lot of money to stay and be Ed Orgeron's DC. But when Ed kind of talked about that plan, he's the CEO and he's going to get the best DC and the best OC possible. Well, you couldn't let the best DC walk out the door.
Andrew Lopez covers LSU for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune, joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. I don't think this is understating it. It would have been a catastrophe if Dave Aranda left.
Absolutely. It wouldn't have been pretty. And the thing about it is, like I was saying, if Orgeron's model is, and what everybody's been sold on is, he's the CEO and he's going to hire the best two guys. That's why he's making $3.5 million as a head coach. He's at the latter end of SEC coaches in terms of overall salary. And the SEC made a lot of coaching moves this offseason, and a lot of guys came in with powerful offenses. You put Dan Mullen at Florida. You're still playing him every year because Florida's your SEC rival. You got Jimbo at A&M now. You look at what Arkansas did. Everybody's building up their offenses, and you need a good mind. You need what his Orgeron has called constantly the best overall mind on defense. So if you lost Aranda, it'd have been pretty bad if that he's not there, and this defense could have really maybe fallen apart if you lose him.
What is the latest on the offensive coordinator, Matt Canada? I mean, I think everybody assumed that he was going to be out the door as soon as the Citrus Bowl was over.
I think what they're waiting on right now is maybe just the formalities of how that's going to happen, whether it's Canada's going to go to take another job. Maybe it's a little bit of chicken of Canada's waiting for LSU to fire him, but Canada has jobs lined up, or LSU's basically waiting for him to take a job. It is, I would say, maybe still possible they could work something out, but I think it's highly unlikely. But right now, I think it's kind of a waiting game just to see maybe who blinks first. Obviously, there's a lot of money on the table. Canada's fired. He's looking at getting the $3 million buyout. So if he leaves, he has to pay some. So I think it's kind of a staring contest between those people, between Canada's people and Orgeron and LSU right now.
We've heard the name Steve Ensminger as a candidate. Do you think that would sit well with LSU fan base, or if Canada left, they'd have to go get somebody else?
They'd have to go get somebody else. Going back to when you build up, I'm going to get one of the best offensive coordinators and best defensive coordinators. Despite the numbers that Steve Ensminger put up while he was the offensive coordinator, that's not going to get it done over here. to me, it would be highly, highly unlikely that Steve Ensminger is the next offensive coordinator at LSU. If they move on from Canada, I think they're going to maybe go young, possibly even go find a guy who can maybe turn this team into a bit of a spread team. Your O-line is maybe not as built for it as you like, but certainly Miles Brennan is, and certainly Lowell Narcisse is. Miles Brennan made his living at St. Stanislaus with quick receptions, spreading them out. You don't have a true number one back next year. You're looking at maybe Chris Curry getting the most carries. Obviously, Nick Brossette's still there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still there. But to me, maybe you go out and get somebody who can do a little bit more. But I highly doubt that it's going to be Steve Ensminger.
Talking to Andrew Lopez, LSU beat writer for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Lopes, let's switch gears and talk about LSU's game last night against University of Kentucky. I thought LSU really put up a good fight. Kind of what I expected. I expected them to give them a battle. What do you take away from that game? I know they dropped it, and it was their SEC opener, but playing the SEC Kingpin has to be that close. Has to be encouraging for Will Wade.
I know you were watching that game a lot. Kentucky being your favorite school and all, right?
No, that would not be the case.
Good call, bro.
No, that was not a good call. We're not talking about college basketball right now, Lopez, because it's in the state of Kentucky because
poor
there's
Jeff.
a moratorium right now on what's happening.
Sad.
Poor Ricky P, the cheater. It's
not good. So
poor fella.
But I did think LSU played well in that game and gave them everything they could handle. I just think they're inexperienced in how to finish games and win in that situation against a big primetime opponent. Kind of showed up at the end.
That's exactly what it was. I mean, this team was ready, and I think a couple of different things hurt them last night. One, on the final play, they were running the same play they ran in the first half, and it didn't work. It was supposed to be drawn up to get Aaron Epps at 3 in the corner. It worked in the first half, didn't work in the second half. They couldn't get the play started, couldn't get it set. Tremont Waters basically just tried to draw a foul, and it didn't work. They get actually would look like a good look from Brandon Sampson with 0.8 seconds left. I don't know if that would have been good if it had gone in, but I think they were ready to go. And Kentucky was, according to Coach Cal, dealing with some flu issues on the other team, although when the players came in, the players were like, I just have a cold. Cal comes in, everybody's got the flu. So
shocking.
Almost a little built in there. I'm sure you expected that from a guy like Coach Cal.
Yeah, I'm shocking that he would overplay.
I
or
did
underplay
hear
something.
that after the post game. The announcer's trying to ask questions and he spins it to half the team had the flu.
Did he spin it about how young they are and how they're so young, and yet every year he's the one that practices this strategy of bringing in freshmen every year?
From
I'm just
one
saying.
Jeff. Listen to this.
Just saying.
Just ladle it over.
Yeah, we're young. Wonder why you're young, Cal. I wonder why. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lopes.
This is fun. I love being able to talk Kentucky basketball with you.
Yes.
But you saw some things last night, and I think one of the other things that hurt them was slow starts to both halves. You start 3 of 11 in the first half. You start 2 of 11 in the second half. You can't do that against a Kentucky team like that. And Will Wade said it. They need to play 40 minutes against a team like Kentucky. Things do not get any easier, any quicker. This was a team who still, I think at this point, was probably going to struggle to get 7 wins in SEC play. You wanted to be able to steal one like that. You have A&M coming up. A&M's coming off a bad loss, but they get players back for this game. Arkansas is after that. So if you can kind of weather this storm a little bit and at least get your kids some confidence, I think that's got to be the biggest thing for Will Wade right now.
Andrew Lopez covers LSU for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Hey, Andrew, we'll let you go before you stay on the phone too long and something else happens. You never know. Maybe Shaq becomes the new AD. I mean, that might be next. You never know.
I think Baton Rouge would implode if that happened with joy.
They'd be fired up.
Unbridled joy across the city.
Oh, they'd be so fired up. Josh Booty would be better than Joe Oliva to some people, I'm sure. And Clyde's raising his hand over here.
No, I'm not. What are you talking about?
I think everybody wants Danny White to UCF AD after the way he handled the national championship out there. That's like the target I think LSU fans are caring for now.
Hey, it's probably anybody with Joe Oliva, I'm sure.
Tom Jurich is out there.
So is Rick Pitino. Get him, AD.
There you go.
There you go. All right, Lopes. Appreciate the time, my friend. Stay busy or don't stay busy. Try not to, at least.
Something will happen. Thanks, guys.
There you go. All right, that's Andrew Lopez, covers LSU for NOLA.com. And the Times-Picayune, yeah, I felt for him last night as he's in the middle of this great basketball game and then all this other stuff's going down.
Comes down, yeah. That's the way it works in the business, right? It's LSU beat can eat you alive. There's always news going on. It's never dull.
Well, they have, what, how many sports do you up at
they
LSU?
They have 20. They have 21, 22 sports.
21 or 22. Okay.
I mean, it depends on how you combine. Track and field. Men's and women's track and field, cross country. Even though they do split them, but I'm pretty sure it's 21.
How many did you work with in your tenure?
I helped. I oversaw 2, but I helped or assisted with at least 10.
Impressive.
Running you ragged.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, that you could ask a lot of people. Did a lot of good work. A lot of good work with a lot of good people. But there were some times where I was just like, "Can I just sleep, please?"
No wonder he's so fired up to sit in this chair and just attack us at times.
Yes,
it's
so
relaxing.
much easier. It's so much easier.
And he can get away with it because we need him because we break things around here.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry, they needed me too because there were things I could do that other people couldn't.
Yesterday,
I would believe it.
You saved the YouTube crowd. I know that. So we got to give you credit for that.
There you go. Why don't we take a break right here on the show? We get back, we'll dive into some Saints talk, get the latest injury news, and some breaking news on the Rookie of the Month of December. One is good. One is a bad omen for a certain Saints rookie to potentially win Rookie of the Year honors. We'll talk about that coming up next here. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder. Tim needs to
New Year's
listen so he knows
losing
when to
weight.
come in. Because he comes in mid-segment, I'm like, bud, we can't stop.
It's smoking eating. All right, well then.
It's like you can't walk in. Like if we're all being silent, someone's on.
It's
keep listening for your chance to win
pretty
Pels
consistent
tickets on Sports 1280 New Orleans.
Top of the hour.
You're the kind of guy
He's
I
done it
want
like
to hang out with.
Every other time, it's just like
being
he comes in, I'm
sarcastic.
like, Tim, I'd love to talk to you.
Visit World Comic Con January 15th.
Oh, so be like, hey, Tim, come on the show.
Convention Center. Meet your favorite stars,
Right, some
including
guys
Marvel Comics
chiming in
Stan
on
Lee,
Twitter.
David Tennant from Doctor Who, and more.
He's going to
Get your
shave his
half-off
head
tickets
with
for
you
Friday,
in
Saturday, or
solidarity.
Sunday at Fox
Solidarity.
That's
what he says.
There's no getting around it. The most common New Year's resolution is
You're
to
not
get
alone.
in shape. The gyms fill up and the headphones go on. Make sure you have the iHeartRadio app streaming into those ears. iHeartRadio has the perfect workout mix for you. 24-hour cardio mix radio, hip-hop workout radio, Club Jam Country, plus customized playlists
There
to
will be
get
less
you
than a
moving.
handful
Stick
of
with your
solidarity.
workout and stick with
Jeff,
iHeartRadio.
no,
All your
no,
favorite
okay.
music, all your favorite stations, all
Not gonna
free.
There's a girl in El Salvador who dreams of becoming an engineer. There's an elder in Uganda who dreams of having a community.
Yeah, Carolyn
to call
came
his
in
own.
and was like,
no two
there's gonna be
dreams
like
are the
4 or
same.
5 people
Help
there.
one
Yeah,
person
it's
achieve
it's gonna be a little stupid today.
Like,
4 or 5 people. What do you mean?
No, like there's gonna be a
The
Browns want a quarterback in the
Aaron's
NFL
gonna
draft.
be there
They'll have
shooting.
multiple
Emma's
options
gonna be
this
there
spring.
doing
UCLA's
stuff.
Josh
And
Rosen and USC Sam Darnold both officially declared
apparently
widely considered the top.
1 minute.
Doug is coming, and they're gonna be, and then Frankie, our other full timer,
overall pick.
like McCash, yeah.
Pick second. The Celtics
And then
went away
he's
with
going to be
a
coming, and then another one of our staff, Frankie, is going to be doing something from NOLA News. It's going to be dumb. It's going to be so many people.
The Cavs know what they're up against this year in the East.
Fox 8's doing it. They're doing a story on it, leading up to like my appearance on the pregame
not
show.
so good.
That's perfect.
See what happens next.
Kyrie Irving with 11 points in his second game against the Cavs.
thinking
Since
I'm gonna
being
be
traded,
shut
Boston
just to
leads
get
the
through
East
all
by
this.
2.5 over Toronto, 4
You get
over
freebies,
Cleveland.
by the
Steph Curry with a
How
go-ahead
about
3 in the
that's
closing
I'm
seconds
already,
to give the Warriors a 125-122 win over the Mavericks in Dallas.
this is gonna be
Golden
crazy.
State
See,
plays.
like here's
Johnny's
the,
just like,
see here's the
don't
good
come
part.
home mad at me
West.
drunk tonight.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280 New Orleans.
My poor wife. Everyone has asked me how she's going to handle it. And every time I get off the phone with her, I'm like, okay, you still love me, right?
She hasn't got divorce papers drawn up already?
No.
I think
she knows it's for the good of humanity.
Grounds. She'd win that in court. My husband shaved his head because he made a silly bet on a radio show.
Absolutely.
Your Honor.
We can take that to Judge Joe Brown right now.
That would be
Judge Joe Brown.
Is that a show? What
Yes.
is the Judge Judy? She not
No, Judge Judy's done. But I mean,
she's done.
You've got hold on. You got Judge Joe Brown.
Judge Joe Brown does like a commercial for a local law firm here.
Yes, he does. He's got some
He's like
people
their
down here.
spokesman.
I think you've got like Cowboy Law, and then you've got
he's their spokesman.
You got a couple other ones.
Well, that's like Big Frida.
Sassy black women
isn't
judges.
Big Frida a spokesman for a spokesperson?
Oh yeah, for
some lawyer, right?
Yeah, another lawyer.
One of those trial lawyers.
Yeah, Chip Forstall. Yes.
No, that's something else.
What about
they have all their own things?
What about People's Court?
True.
Is that still
like Judge Wapner? I think he died 30 years ago.
That's what started.
I think Judge Wapner died like 5 years ago.
Yes. But People's Court started this thing, right?
Yes.
And, then
and Harvey Levin was on People's Court now of TMZ infamy. I'm not gonna say
what.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Harvey Levin was
How does he know all this? He lives on TMZ and E!
No, I don't. I really don't. I can't quiet as kept. I can't stand TMZ. I can't stand E! I used to watch it, but it's just prying and just
doesn't mean you don't
lascivious
watch it.
behavior. I don't watch it.
I mean, a lot of people say they can't stand Skip Bayless, but they watch him.
What?
I'm just saying.
Huh?
Just saying. That
seems like a self kind of inflicted pain and torture.
Look at the ratings. No one watches Skip Bayless.
No one watches FS1. Sorry.
Well, you used to watch him on ESPN. Who replaced him?
Max
Kellerman.
Yeah.
Who I have so much respect for, but I'm just so sad that he has to sit across Stephen A. Smith every day.
Oh, well,
shout out to Molly Karam, though.
Anywho, speaking of, I don't even know, judging, because people are judging Alvin Kamara versus Kareem Hunt at this point for the Rookie of the Year honors, and we might have seen a prelude to what the award is going to turn out to be. Rookie of the Month came out a couple minutes ago. Defensive Rookie of the Month, Marshawn Lattimore, of course, cornerback for the New Orleans Saints. And Offensive Rookie of the Month, Kareem Hunt with the Chiefs. Look, it looked like Alvin Kamara by the end of November was going to be a runaway winner. Kamara slowed a little bit, even though the big return last week was pretty spectacular and he's done some cool things. But Kareem Hunt has won the NFL rushing title. I think people who aren't watching Alvin Kamara every day and voters who see that say, nope, Offensive Rookie of the Year because he wins the rushing title. I don't think there's been our own Josh Katzenstein did a story on it, and he was kind of paneling. Of course, everyone's biased in the Saints locker room. They're like, no contest. It should be Alvin Kamara.
Who's Taron Armstead going to vote for? I think I'll go with Kareem Hunt.
No, exactly.
But it's not going to happen.
You look at it, and it's something that Kareem Hunt literally ran his way back into the race, and I don't know. It's going to be a toss-up because of how exciting Kamara is, and yet I've already just made an argument in my eyes for Kareem Hunt, and I don't think I need to double-check Josh's story. I don't think there's ever been a rookie who's won the rushing title that hasn't won that award. Like George Rogers won that award.
I think if Kansas City would not have made the playoffs, I think that's what's going to seal it for Kareem Hunt. That they had a fantastic season, and largely because of Kareem Hunt, they won their division, and that's going to be, I think, the equalizer to the Saints' run and Kamara. That's just what I think, but I think it's going to be close. I don't think there's any doubt.
Although no slouch to Alvin and Marshawn, because from yesterday, with Alvin Kamara being named the Rookie of the Week for the 7th time, between him and Marshawn Lattimore, they've been the Rookie of the Week, or a Saint has been the Rookie of the Week 11 of the 16 weeks they played.
The problem with that is it's all fan voting, so it's flawed. Like Saints fans flood those awards. Every time a Saints person is nominated, I'm stunned if they don't win because Saints fans flood it.
But at least it's something that you still see. At least it's something that kind of continuously pops up. So
That's
at least
true.
It's something that it's continuously in your kind of line of vision that you see going through.
Does anybody really care about that stuff. I could care less about player of the week.
Well, what you have is the
air and ground.
Because it's media who vote, and the media knows that those polls are fan polls.
Right.
Now, the ones that matter, the ones I just read, that's from the league. Like this Rookie of the Month is from the league. There's an offensive player of the week, defensive player of the week, special teams player of the week. Those awards are from the league, not air and ground, not rookie of the week.
Yeah,
that is
stuff.
Those are different than the ones when we say NFC offensive player of the week. That is from the league office. So those matter.
I'm just saying, do you really care about it though? Like if the Saints guy wins it, people talk about it. I guess that's a deal. But are you sitting there saying, wow, Jimmy Garoppolo won the NFC Offensive Player of the Week? I mean, no one's talking about it if it's not your own player. It's just, I don't know, it's just something that they threw out there to get some kind of advertising rep, I think. Advertising money. With
well,
it's not completely wrong.
No, because the FedEx Ground and Air Award, again, that is a fan vote. Like, if Jimmy Garoppolo wins NFC Offensive Player of the Week, that is through the league. That is different.
I know. I could care less about it. I guess 20 years
he just doesn't like nice things.
20 years of covering the league. I mean, I just
doesn't like nice.
Just kind of
not an aside, but in the same wheelhouse though. Would Alvin Kamara, and this is brought up by one of our diehards, Rip LaBeouf on the YouTube stream. Kareem Hunt doesn't have a Mark Ingram that he deals with for the Chiefs.
Doesn't matter.
Not that it doesn't matter, but just if
I understand what he's saying.
Yeah, but and that's all I'm just trying to point out. Like, obviously, you're dealing with a two-back system on one side as opposed to being the primary guy on the other.
No doubt, but that's not going to matter in the voting. People are going to look at it. People would say, conversely, that Alvin Kamara's got a lot more weapons beside him on offense, and teams can't focus on him like they can Kareem Hunt. So, there's
any way about that.
No, definitely. Come on. Who's they don't have
Tyreek Hill is a big weapon. Travis Kelce's a big weapon. You could argue the Saints have Mark Ingram and Michael Thomas, and that's it.
No, but the Saints have the number 2 offense in the league.
What do you mean no?
The Saints have by far a more diverse offense. They've got
Drew Brees,
a Hall of Fame
Alex
quarterback.
Smith.
I mean,
even though Alex Smith at times this year posted big time numbers way bigger than Brees.
He led the league in passing efficiency this year, Alex Smith.
See?
So, but I'm just saying
I won the argument.
I'm just saying I don't think people would look at the Chiefs offense as more wide and diversified than the Saints by any means.
No.
I mean,
and to Larry's point, you're right. This is from Randall Lew of the NFL.
That's the award that matters. When Randall Lew puts it out on Twitter, that's the weekly awards that matter.
And he also put this out yesterday. The Saints are the only NFL team in the past 25 years to have 2 running backs, Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, and 1 wide receiver, Michael Thomas, to each gain 1,200 scrimmage yards in the same season.
That's pretty good.
That's what I'm saying.
Last I checked, pretty swell.
That's what I'm saying. There are other players you have to worry about.
Remember when we were talking about Brandon Cooks and Willie Snead being in with Michael Thomas? No, not anymore. Nope.
Yeah, not at all.
Sorry, Cookie.
So have we looked at the odds yet of the Super Bowl to win the Super Bowl? Odds McGee over there.
Minute.
No, that sounds like a Larry thing.
The odds to win the Super Bowl at this point, I have not actually. What's the matter with me? I've lost my mind. I'm losing my hair. I'm losing my mind.
Saints are the second favorite in the NFC behind the Vikings. I think that's interesting. Are you surprised by that? I'm really not.
Knowing that they could potentially play each other depending on what happens, obviously, in
I think odds makers, I'm guessing it's the Rams are third. Are they third? I would assume that people would feel more confident Drew Brees versus Goff.
Yes.
And that's what
Rams are
30.
Third. Yeah. Yes. So, all right. Hour number 1 is up. Hour number 2 is on the way. You'll hear my interview with Raphael Bush. Really fun interview I had with him yesterday. We'll hear that. And then we'll hear from Alvin Gentry and Anthony Davis about their big win. Well, at Utah. So you'll hear all that coming up in hour number 2. So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
Pretty soon, new competition for Alexa, Cortana, Siri, and Google. Roku says it is releasing a voice-activated assistant this year. It's called Roku Entertainment Assistant. Roku says it's planning a whole home experience. It'll include
actually
smart
the
speakers,
Rams
lights, and other
have
home
surged
hardware.
above
the smart
Saints.
TV and streaming device maker says it will use its own operating system and will connect
Patriots,
wirelessly
Vikings,
to other
Vikings, and
devices.
Steelers are the same.
Spotify has yet to respond
Then
to
the
a
Rams
new
are slightly ahead of the
$1.6 billion
Saints, then the
lawsuit.
Eagles, Chiefs.
Wix in music publishing has
Titans
launched a
are
copyright
dead last.
lawsuit against the streaming service, claiming that Spotify is using thousands
I'm
of
picking
its
the Titans
artists'
to beat the
songs
Chiefs.
without license. There's an
Oh, yeah, I
issue
guess we gotta
reported
do
with
that tomorrow,
Intel's
huh?
processor
Yeah.
that could
It'll be
leave systems open to
hungover.
hackers. Tech site The Register first reported the flaw with
Pretty
Intel
sure.
processors, which could expose information from a PC's operating system. The flaw reportedly could affect Windows, Mac, and Linux systems. Tech Update, Doug Parrish, NBC News Radio.
WODT WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280.
Fox Sports trending now.
With the playoffs coming up this weekend, the Jaguars get some good news. They expect receiver Marquise Lee to return from his ankle injury to play in Sunday's playoff game against the Bills. He's missed the last 2 games. While UCLA quarterback Josh Rosen and USC quarterback Sam Darnold will both...
We got any guests this hour?
No.
Oklahoma offensive tackle Orlando Brown.
Hey, what time are you
LSU
getting
pass
there today?
rusher Arden Key just...
I've finished up Eric's show around 2-ish.
Right.
So, I don't know, probably around 3 or 4.
Year 10.
I'm going to try to get there by, like 3:30.
Yeah.
He will be the first
I'll be
FBS
there.
assistant coach to make...
All right.
I'm trying to get there for like 1.
Okay, but do I need to go get clippers? Yeah, I mean, if I didn't have to do Eric's show,
No,
yeah, I'd be
you
there
don't
early.
need to go get clippers. I got a friend of mine. He's bringing
I'm Deb
clippers.
Carson.
I'm Chris Waltz, and I'm a truck
So I hope you
Okay.
know how to use them.
13 hours a night.
Yeah, I do. All right, 4.5 minutes. I'll be right back.
All right, buddy.
Stop and eat. If I'm not eating fast food, I guarantee there's a bag of chips open on my dashboard. That was all until Andro 400. I started out
Yeah,
4
it's
months
like
ago,
people
and
coming out
since
of the
taking
woodwork
Andro
with texting
400, I've
me all
lost
Yeah,
45
I kind of
pounds.
can't wait to
Completely
see how
better.
much
There's
of
no
a
craving. I
how
actually
much
don't
of
get
a
sick
circus
about
is going to
food.
be
My
later
knee
today.
pain went away.
I'm
I've had
intrigued
some
by
lower
this.
back issues, and I've noticed
I've
that
done
went
myself.
away.
Like
And
what?
I
I
can
mean,
only contribute
I
that
like
to
that.
Andro
Again,
400.
book
One
it.
thing that Andro
That
400
should
said on the radio
you know what
ad
you
was
should do?
attack
That
belly fat.
that should be
Well,
the
let me
next
tell you
thing.
it did. The
You
second
write a
month
book
is where I
called
saw
Book It.
a drastic change in the size of
Book
my
It by
stomach.
Larry
I've
Holder.
lost 6 inches. This product
Buffoon
really
by
does
Larry
work.
Holder.
Guys, if you'd like to experience similar results,
Book it.
then get Andro
Bad Takes
400,
and Stories by
the
Larry
safe,
Holder.
natural, and inexpensive way to
I'd
boost
fill a
your
book with them.
testosterone. Go to andro400.com or call 888
What I've learned in my career.
0435 888 400 0435.
Boulder.
Saving money can seem daunting, so most of the
about it.
time we don't think about it. And since we don't want to think about saving, we don't save. But now with an Easy
Yeah, so
Start
after this,
certificate
I'm
from
going
Navy
home,
Federal Credit Union, you
dropping
can
my
keep
car
not
off.
thinking about saving while
That's fair.
actually
That's a
saving.
fair-
With
fair
recurring
thing to do.
transfers,
Then I
you
gotta finish a
automatically save
column.
money each
Figure
month
that.
without ever thinking about it.
At least it's not
simple,
first and 10,
it's
it's just
automatic,
like-
it's an easy start to
I
saving.
got a column that's
Learn more
already
at
half
NavyFederal.org.
done. I got
Open to
everything
everyone in the Armed
transcribed,
Forces, the
just right.
DoD, veterans, and their families.
Right, because
Federally
you're doing
insured
the
by NCUA.
you're doing the one on Peyton, right?
The only thing I'm really living for is the next meal.
A new season of My 600-Pound Life.
What have I done to myself?
The more weight they gain,
Food is my worst enemy.
the more life
Pretty
they
accurate.
lose.
It's been 4.5
10 years, man.
It's been 12.
If I don't
12, yeah.
change,
Jeez.
I'm gonna die.
It's
I
been
want
in
to
a
be a
can
good role
since
model for my girls.
June.
I'm risking my life
had
to
this
have a better life.
We were supposed to do like a big series, and it kind of
On My
faded out, like
600-Pound
Louisiana
Life.
football.
Wednesday at 8
so
on
that's kinda what I was
TLC and
doing.
TLC Go.
So now I
Americans
kinda,
are always on the move.
spun it.
They're in the car
Yeah.
or at the office
And it's
or
kinda
working
wild.
around
He
the
talked
house.
to me about his
Americans
grandpa,
refuse
like,
to sit
happened
still.
to just-
So how do you connect with
just
all those
died,
moving
so.
targets? Easy, with radio. Radio reaches 93% of
work.
Americans
Jennifer
every
liked
week,
it, so I was
more
like,
than
all right,
Google,
good.
Facebook, and
Yeah,
even
Jennifer liked it?
television.
Sweet.
Because, hey,
That's all I needed.
who has
Good.
time to
Okay,
sit and
good.
watch TV?
Yeah.
So when you want to connect with all those constantly moving adults, teens, and millennials,
Yeah,
get
we're
to
gonna run some of the Tron
iHeartMedia.com
Armstead stuff
and put
tomorrow. It's
AM/FM
funny.
radio to
Nice.
work for your company.
It's fun.
The weekend, Beyonce and Eminem will be headlining Coachella 2018. The festival gets underway April 13th in Indio, California.
And
Wraps
my
up
wife's just
weekend
like,
2 on April
"There's no way you can
22nd.
be able to
Beyonce
finish
was forced to
coffee.
cancel
As
at
soon as
last
you
year's
walk into
festival because
Tracy's,
of her
it could be at 1
pregnancy.
p.m. and you're gonna get- Of course, all my friends who go to Tracy's
Lin-Manuel Miranda is taking Hamilton on the road. The hip-hop musical is heading to 20 cities, kicking off in San Diego, Boston, Salt Lake City, Chicago, and even London, England, before ending with a 3-week stint in Puerto Rico in January 2019. Funds from the island shows will be donated to Hurricane Maria relief efforts.
Is it wrong that I hope they will let everyone in attendance cut a little bit
Yoko
off?
Ono saying it's about time. Ringo Starr is being knighted by Queen Elizabeth for his services to music. Ono taking to Twitter to congratulate the former Beatles drummer. John Lennon's widow also writing it's an honor for everyone in the Beatles family. Paul McCartney received his own solo knighthood in 1997.
Working on a night move.
Another friend.
Bob Seger is still recovering from a back injury that forced him to cut short his 27
1 minute
support of his latest album, I Knew You
so
When. In a recent interview, he was asked about releasing an album at the age of 72, and he said he thought he'd be done by 30 and riding a motorcycle across Europe. Finally, Seger vowed to begin playing music again as soon as the pain in his back and legs stops. That's entertainment. Jennifer Bolsoni, NBC News Radio.
All right, 30 seconds.
This is perfect.
And yeah, we're gonna do the Raphael Bush thing here. I'll intro it and all. It's like 5 minutes. I mean, look at this guy. See, this is what I'm getting.
Wow.
About the 5th person to come harass me.
Wow. That's literal. That could be like harassment and assault because he comes with scissors.
Why, Allison?
I feel like threatened.
Texting and driving makes good people look
You walked in. I was uncomfortable.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
So great for everyone else, so bad for me.
So bad for you.
Oh my gosh, I've done some stupid things. This is top 3. Dunc and Holder, hour number 2 on a Thursday, January 4th. If you missed any of our first hour, we're having some problems with our SoundCloud and iTunes account, so as soon as we get those fixed, we will certainly let you know because I know we have a loyal listenership there. But you can listen to us, the podcast, on Sports 1280, and on our YouTube page. You can watch and see the insanity that happens actually during commercials where I mope about my existence that's coming up, my hairless existence that's coming up.
We talk about random people walking into the doorway with a pair of scissors just saying, hey, this is your future.
I mean, that was the 5th person today that's come either in the studio while we're doing the show, before the show started, or come up in the mirror. And the last person, one of our top sales guys, Jay Lyles, has a pair of scissors and is snapping at them as if he's threatening me to come in and do it right now.
Look, and if anything, though, this is a testament to how far, I guess, our reach has gone. Because, I mean, remember when we started this whole thing in, July?
It was totally off the cuff. It didn't even mean anything.
It didn't mean
anything. And then I got reminded of it like 4 weeks later.
Well, because, I mean, after they won the back-to-back games in the London game, the Carolina game, and the London game, that's when it was kind of like, all right, well, at least it'll be interesting. And then they rattled off that winning streak, and it was like, hey, man, remember what you said? Yeah.
Once Aaron Rodgers got hurt, it was over.
It was over.
Me.
It was
done.
Was
over for me. Once Aaron Rodgers got hurt,
because you got Hundley, Trubisky.
Well, they went to Buffalo and won by 9,000.
Yeah.
It was totally bad. So if you're just joining us and you've been asleep at the wheel and not following us on social media, don't forget, 4 to 6 p.m. today, Tracy's Magazine and 3rd Street will be the undoing of my hair. And I've had some coworkers wondering and afraid to A, take a snip, or B, to use the shears because they're afraid they're going to make me bleed.
What?
Yes. They're afraid for me, that someone's going to cut me.
I don't think that's possible.
It's literally not possible. Even if you have a guard, even without the guard, it's not possible.
Another heckler is in here. Tim Williamson is in here. I'm surprised. Look, you've got some very disturbing sales folks who are walking by with scissors, clipping, and this is the second time he's come in. He is so giddy.
What the hair looks like when you don't have it.
Oh, well, Tim has...
Wow.
Tim is follically challenged, I'll just put it that way.
Follically challenged.
And I know, all right, what you going to do? Do you want a scissor cut of my hair or a shear cut?
Shear it to
I knew you were gonna. All right, so you better be there 5 o'clock hour because that's when the major. That's when the major thing. I know you're gonna be up there like waiting in line. I know it.
I think this is a tradition every time.
A tradition.
Every year.
Right, a tradition.
Ron Swoboda, we had Ron Swoboda on the show last week, and he made a good point. What if something's on top of your head that we don't want to see, or there's something under there? We don't know what's going to be revealed.
Larry, do you have a cap ready?
Oh,
my mom bought me a little ski cap from Walmart for about $3 for Christmas, and that was a Christmas present.
There you go. Okay, because I was wondering, because I mean, I've knowing him, it's like as soon as it's done, it's gonna be like 2 pictures, and then immediately the hat's coming on, man.
No, I don't think so. I think he's gonna.
I'm
revel
not gonna
in his cue ball
put on
glory.
a hat. No.
Yeah, revel in your bald dome.
I will say this. I purposely made my bangs as prevalent as possible today because they're going to be gone. I told Jeff this when he walked in.
Do you think your head is going to be wider than the Superdome dome? What's going to be the wider dome?
It could use a cleaning, the Superdome. So, yeah, I'm going to say mine's going to be wider.
Yours is going to be wider. We may have to superimpose it. Can you do that, Clyde? Do you know how to do that?
Yeah, I could probably make that work.
Side by side.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we also
do
need
that.
before and after, of course. We need a before and after shot.
Absolutely.
Well, of course. I mean,
absolutely.
What? Yeah. Anyway, all right. Let's get off of hair talk. 4 to 6, Tracy's. If you can't make it, Clyde, just let everybody know what we're going to be doing, and then we can move on with our lives until my life is ruined.
For the Larry Holder shearing extravaganza, we're going to have a live stream on our Saints YouTube page, which is where you can watch Dunc and Holder every day, Monday through Friday, 10 to noon. Our Saints, the NOLA.com Saints Facebook page will also have a live stream. We're going to do something with the NOLA News Facebook account. We'll have some things going on there. And then afterwards, we're going to have a whole post-shearing wrap-up with a video, pictures.
What do we need to
We're going to
wrap
have
up
a gallery. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to ask, we're going to do some lives where we're going to, talk to people in the crowd. It's going to be an extravaganza. We hope you tune in. You're going to enjoy it.
Are you going to talk to my mother-in-law? Because she's going to be
Possibly. We're going to talk to your mother-in-law. If your wife's going to be there, we might talk to her.
My wife is not going to be there.
That's unfortunate.
Because she does not want to bring the 2 boys because they will be running around. And my young one, he hates haircuts as it is, and if he sees Dad actually getting his head shaved, I don't think he's going to be cool with that.
That's fair too. Okay. Well, whoever is in attendance, we'll probably talk to them, and it's going to be awesome.
All right. Well, you could talk to all 3 people who will be there, and I'm probably vastly underestimating the crowd. I'm afraid. I don't know.
Literally, as a person that gets an all-over fade, because I am that dude. Literally, an all-over fade, man. Instead of
what does that mean?
Some people, some folks like to get it, like to keep a little hair on the top and then have it fade down and kind of have it lower on the sides than it does on the top. So what I do is whenever I go get a haircut, I just literally have a guard and just, you just go with the grain, get it off, and then line it up.
That doesn't make any sense. The fade.
You need to come to my barbershop. In fact, you know what? That would actually be a really great video. Like you two come to the barbershop that I go to.
Where?
And then turning. It's on North Claiborne. Not too far from here. It's a barbershop on North Claiborne. It's like a legitimate barbershop you would think I would go to. And
it would be nothing. I assumed you went to Supercuts.
It's nothing. Supercuts. I actually did do that once in time in my previous life.
Go to Mr. Chill's?
I'll never do that again. I will never go to Supercuts again.
All over fade makes no sense to me. The fade itself is fading from shorter hair to longer hair.
But
so if you do an all over fade, there is no fade.
Well, I mean, no, because it kind of because like. With the way it kind of lies down, because the type of number that I get, I usually get a 1.5 or 2 and just kind of do it all over. And so kind of
there's no fade involved then. If it's all over, there's no fade. You're not fading. You're what you are. You're an all over 1.5.
This segment is fading. This segment is fading fast.
I thought we were doing Raphael Bush.
Let's save the segment. And here's an interview I did yesterday with Raphael Bush. Let me preface it by saying, look, I'm writing a column this week about Sean Payton and his coaching style this year. Look, we've seen him be a little aggressive, I'd say, a little rambunctious on the sideline, and yet
boisterous.
It's boisterous is a good one, and yet his demeanor inside the locker room with the players has been a little different. So let's hear a good interview I had with veteran Saints safety Raphael Bush.
Seen him at his high energy before, and then you left. Now you're back. I mean,
He had the same energy. He elevated it this year. What do you feel like the way he's been coaching this team?
I just feel like he thinks this team is very talented, and we can do some special things. And he's been stating that since training camp. That's why we were able to come back here for training camp to try to get things a little more difficult for our team as a whole, as opposed to what we were doing in Greenbrier. So his intensity was definitely up, and we understood why. We've been 7-9 for the last 3 seasons before that. So there was time for a culture shock, and he was the head of that. And we just kind of followed in line, and everybody understand that. We can't continue to be the team that we were before. If we want to have different results, we got to do different things, and that's kind of what you saw this entire season.
As far as is it different than what you've seen from him before, or is it maybe because you guys are winning and he's kind of feeling that?
I've seen a bunch of sides of Sean. I've seen the cool Sean. I've seen the Sean that's spaz. I've seen the Sean that's very intense. So it just kind of depends on what mood he's in. Like I said, I just think he understands that this team is very talented. We have a mixture of younger guys. We have a nucleus that's very unique, and he understands that this team is very talented, and he wants. And with us being so young, he has to kind of make sure that these young guys understand, what's at stake here, because we got a lot of young guys that's playing for us right now, probably younger than most would expect, and to be playing very well is just a credit to our whole entire coaching staff. Actually, the way they kind of bring these young guys along. Not they don't really understand football like a veteran player would. It's their first year. They're just thrown out there in the fire. So I think as a whole, our whole entire coaching staff has done a good job of putting it on the plate for these guys to be able to chew on it and be able to go out there and just play fast.
You feel like he's needed to be younger because there's such a youth influx, and he's got to almost like be cool, like know what's going on, like as far as in their generation to kind of relate to those guys.
Well, yeah, I kind of use the analogy of a pastor. If you have a younger crowd, you can't relate. They can't relate to you if you're just talking about old times and Old Testament and stuff, because they don't understand that. That's not their lingo. That's not their language. So I most certainly think that he understands that this is a younger, a more jubilant kind of locker room. You got a bunch of young guys in here, so his approach has been a little bit different, but he's found a way to reach these guys and reach us as a team, and it's worked benefits.
And Cam says he doesn't visit y'all as much as he used to because y'all aren't screwing up as much as y'all used to. Is that true?
That's a good thing, man.
So that's true.
That's always a good thing, man. So we just want to continue to, keep rolling, man. Keep rolling, and hopefully he doesn't have to come visit us, and we can keep this thing going, man. But yeah, like I said, man, him and all the other coaching staff have done a hell of a job. Just like I said, putting things on the plate for these young guys so that they can just go out there and just play. It's not that much thinking involved. At the end of the day, it's football. So coaches have done a good job of getting us prepared, for these games. They'll do a good job of making sure that we're prepared, and we'll take responsibility into making sure that, we execute the game plan on Sunday.
How excited are you about playoff football? I mean, you were here last time.
Man, it's always great. Like I was telling my wife yesterday, I was like extremely juiced. Coming to work yesterday on my off day. Kind of like I haven't been like that in a long time. I mean, if you look at it and you put things in perspective, like guys are already home now planning their trips, and guys already had their exit meeting. We're one of the teams that's everybody's gonna be watching on Sunday. So and it's a win and go home mentality right now. So it's a different. It's kind of like the preseason is a different level than the regular season, and the regular season is a different scenario than the playoffs. So things gonna be up the notch. I mean, we're playing great competition now, so some of those things that we were able to get away with, during the season against mediocre teams, we got to lock in now. So I think.
All right, 20 seconds left.
The juice around here is very, very, very different. I mean, it's a different feel, it's a different vibe in the air. We haven't been in the playoffs in 3 years. We've been 7-9 for the last 3 years. So, last time we've been to the playoffs was 2013. So this is most definitely exciting, man, and I'm really juiced, man, so I can't wait for Sunday.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
There's an excitement, and yet there's a focus, and our own Amos Morale did a good story yesterday on NOLA.com. because in the Saints locker room throughout the season, to keep things light and jovial, there's a ping pong table in there. There's like a basketball goal where the guys play, like a little small goal, obviously not a 10-foot goal. And you can see them huddled around the gigantic screens where they play old school Nintendo 64 games. All of that's been taken out starting this week. And so I think there is an added focus, and I think the players, you could tell talking to them, they're excited, but they know it's one and done, and now you're in it. Now this is the real deal going on with the playoffs.
Who made that decision? Was that a Sean Payton edict? Do you know? Do we know?
I do not know off the top of my head. I don't know.
It'd be interesting to know if maybe the veteran leaders were involved. I'm sure they were consulted, but yeah, they were heavy into that ping pong all year long. You didn't go into the open locker room period and there wasn't a ping pong game going on. So all that's been removed. Business-like approach. And they're going to need it because Carolina's going to come in here, I think, with a lot of wrinkles, and they're going to try to do some different things to keep the Saints off balance and try and get an early lead. That's the other thing. Carolina's been playing uphill from behind almost every time they played the Saints recently. If they get a lead, all of a sudden, the Saints are playing from behind. Now, the Saints have shown they can come from behind. They beat Washington, what were they, down 14 with a couple
15.
Minutes left? Yeah.
Yes.
Came back and won. So they've shown they can do that in the Superdome. But with the playoffs on the line, it can flip on you, and all of a sudden you feel this internal pressure. The home team can feel pressure if they're playing from behind.
Well, we got a bit of breaking news here, and it's the most important news of the weekend, especially for one Jeff Duncan. Are you ready for this, Jeff? Guess who will be in attendance at Sunday's game?
Reggie Bush.
I mean, that was a good guess.
Yes.
You're right.
Well, I mean, he's been saying it on social media for 4 or 5 days.
He insinuated it, but someone asked him, "You coming down?" He says, "Yes, sir." So, yes, that's official confirmation.
Trying to recruit Lance Moore, some other guys.
I'm sure there will be plenty of folks from some of those playoff teams, and people are requesting the bat. Would you like to see Reggie with the bat?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yes.
What? No.
What?
No.
Literally, the only way he could have made that.
Jeff hates nice things.
The only way he could have made that tweet to that fan asking if he was coming would if he wouldn't have said nothing but had like the cricket bat emoji and left it at that.
Why a cricket bat?
Because they don't have a baseball bat for the emoji.
How? What?
They have a baseball, but they don't have a baseball bat. So the closest you're going to come is a cricket bat. Trust me, I searched.
You would know the emoji lineup. All the emojis. He knows there's no.
All the good ones. No. All the good ones for
sure.
They
have a cricket bat.
They don't play baseball in Japan or wherever emojis came from.
You got to ask Apple, man. I don't know. But I dutifully searched for a baseball bat when I was doing a tweet, doing a graphic for a tweet for us, and I couldn't find it.
Back off the rails.
I just couldn't find it. So I'm just like, but that would have made it better.
It's more on the rails than a tight fade, and you two arguing about what's a fade and what's not a fade.
I'm just saying, like, I could care less about Reggie Bush running on the field with a bat. That's going to last all of 5 seconds.
So they're going to have to win the game. Amped up.
They're going to have to win. Oh, yeah, that'll last for 5 seconds.
What if he goes Tanya Harding and clubs Cam Newton? Now, that would be
good.
That would be a story.
That's some vicious stuff right there, dude.
Hey,
That's some vicious
you
stuff.
You act like no one's thought of that.
I would hope not. Why?
I guarantee you plenty in Section 630 are thinking of that right now.
By the way, I love how our colleague Josh Katzenstein is claiming that he's the first one that came up with the analogy or the comparison that Alvin Kamara is a hybrid of Reggie Bush and Pierre Thomas. Haven't we been saying that like all year, you and I? I know for sure I have. I don't know where he came up. I think he heard it listening to our show, and now somehow has dreamt up that he invented this comparison. He's so proud of it. Did a whole story idea on it.
That it was his?
Yeah. Well, not necessarily his, but just. But I mean, we've said that all along. I think even someone else even said it, like Drew Brees or somebody along those lines. I don't know. Just kind of on a
flying off the rails.
Flying off the rails, dude.
Just
wow.
Stream of consciousness, whatever. On
ridiculing
top of
every coworker you can. You want to take another shot at somebody before we go to break here?
Yeah. Anybody else here?
Yeah. I don't like Clyde's full fade thing.
I mean, we are already. That's not new.
Yeah,
that's not new.
Don't be mad because I can go and do it and it comes back, dude.
All right, we're well overdue for a break. Why don't we take a break right here on the show? I promise you, we will get to Pelicans talk. They actually beat the Utah Jazz in Utah. We'll hear from Alvin Gentry and Anthony Davis. So why don't we do that here next? Because we'll spend the rest of the show
No, we
just
won't. Yes, we will.
spewing of insanity. And we haven't even talked about the Saints injury report. It's looking better than it has been the last couple of weeks, which I think that's what the Saints were gearing up for. So we'll touch on all that coming up the rest of the show. So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
Corey Johnson.
Run between the tackles.
Cake by the ocean.
Physical. And I would say
That's a
Ingram
euphemism
hits
for
the
something.
goals and hits the defensive linemen and
Billy
linebackers at least as hard, if not harder than Kamara. But Kamara is like Teflon, man. They can't tackle this kid. It's a nice dynamic duo, those two at running back.
Join Corey Johnson on The Neutral Ground, 4 till 6 on Sports 1280, New Orleans. Your shot at $1,000 now. Text the keyword money to 200-200. You'll get a text confirming entry plus iHeartRadio info. Standard data and message rates apply. That's money to 200-200.
Wizard World Comic-Con, January 5th through 7th at the Ernest N. Morial Convention Center. Meet your favorite stars, including Marvel Comics Stan Lee, David Tennant from Doctor Who, and more. Get your half-off tickets for Friday, Saturday, or Sunday at FoxSportsAM1280.com. Keyword deals.
As a small business owner, you make every dollar count. So what could you do with $10? Go to Vistaprint.com today and you'll get 500 high-quality custom business cards for only $9.99. That's less than 2 cents per card. And at Vistaprint, your satisfaction is absolutely guaranteed. So it's never been easier to turn 500 strangers into connections. Just visit Vistaprint.com and use promo code 5858 at checkout. That's Vistaprint.com, promo code 5858.
Sports 1280, New Orleans. Instant replay. Chris Gordy. Mornings 8 to 10.
Talking to the Saints running back Alvin Kamara. When you think of endorsements in the NFL, I mean, Peyton Manning at Papa John's. I think J.J. Watt has Gatorade, but I love the company that I saw you tweeting about, Airheads Candy. I saw you tweeting you've been binge eating Airheads, and that was the key to victory. How did you wind up with Airheads?
Man,
Who is?
so they hit me up back in
Oh, you got her on the show?
Trying to send me a care
Nice.
package.
Biggest
I
fan.
took a picture with a whole bunch
I love
of
that guy.
Airheads, and I missed it.
Yeah, I
Somebody
don't
actually
I didn't
sent
hear
it to
that.
me,
What?
You know, like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, oh no,
I didn't hear
I gotta
How can you not hear?
hit him back. I tweeted
It's your
him back,
biggest
I was like,
fan.
man, I
She loves
still need
you.
This care package. So I DM'd him and we talked, and we got it sorted out. So hopefully I could be the Marshawn Lynch of Airheads.
Yeah, Marshawn Lynch has the Skittles. You're the Airheads guy. Do you eat them on game day?
I was literally, I was eating them last night. I went to the movies. I ate some Airheads. I was an Airhead kid.
Listen live weekdays on Sports 1280 and the free iHeartRadio app, or catch up at sports1280.com.
A new gene therapy to treat progressive blindness has been approved by the FDA. That followed a hearing in which teenagers talked about seeing stars for the very first time. Trouble is, Luxturna, as it's called, costs $850,000 per patient. The company that makes it, Spark Therapeutics, says it's looking for ways to lower the cost, like making deals with insurance companies and with the federal government. Studies show that diversity among doctors helps improve patient health outcomes.
It really is a matter of life and death.
Whether it's making yourself understood or following doctor's orders, Joe Wiederhorn of the Associated Medical Schools of New York says,
People are much more comfortable and listen to their doctors more when they are with doctors who are culturally and ethnically similar to themselves.
Wiederhorn says much more needs to be done to attract would-be minority doctors starting in high school. Health Update, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
Are we back? I hope we aren't.
If not, the YouTubers are going to enjoy the rest of the show.
I'm assuming there's something going on in the airwaves
Hopefully,
in New
yes.
Orleans, other than our
New Orleans, if you can hear us, blink twice.
Our idle banter in the studio.
Go.
Welcome back, Dunc and Holder, here on a Thursday. And Jeff, the Pelicans won a basketball game last night. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good win for them. That's a team that at some point might get back in the mix. Utah, I'm talking about, could get back in the mix and be a potential threat to them in the seeding race in the Western Conference. And I'll tell you the team that I switching gears a little bit from the Pelicans.
That was fast.
Well, what I mean is I'm not sure what to make of the Spurs. I keep saying that there's a three-headed monster in the Western Conference with the Warriors, the Rockets, and I include the Spurs in there because Kawhi Leonard's now back. But they're up and down. They're not the Spurs of old. So I'm thinking that it's really more of a two teams you don't want to play. We've already seen the Pelicans have beaten the Spurs pretty soundly. Now, that was without Kawhi Leonard. And I know it's the regular season and teams take games off and it's a long year, but I'm not seeing yet the Spurs of old.
You say that, but you realize that the Spurs are number 3 in the Western Conference.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're third.
26-13.
I'm saying I know that, but they've had some games that just have not been that impressive. I mean, they lost to the Sixers. They lost to the Jazz the other night. The Jazz are without Rudy Gobert. We talked about that. The Pels have beaten them soundly. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being overly optimistic with the Pelicans' chances, but I think if they got in a series with the Spurs, they could do some damage against the Spurs. I don't think they can beat the Rockets or the Warriors.
Well, they beat the Jazz last night, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that was an impressive win.
108-98, and they don't typically win in Utah, even though Utah's kind of fallen behind the pack, and they've lost to them already in Utah this year. And so the fact that you got to win, look, Anthony Davis last night, 29 points, had to lead the way. Boogie Cousins actually got a little bit injured last night. I think he tweaked his ankle, had to leave the game, go to the locker room, but did come back and managed to have 19, 11 rebounds. Look, Anthony Davis had 29 and 15 rebounds. Drew Holiday, big game, 10 of 16 from the floor, had 24 points. Rajon Rondo only played 15 minutes, but managed to score 12 points. And I just think from what I saw that people always harp about them not playing defense. I think you saw them play some defense last night, and it showed because your boy, who scored, 41 the last time they played
right.
the Pelicans, he only scored 24, and they limited him 3 of 11 from 3, 6 of 17 overall.
Yeah, that's not very efficient, and that's exactly what you have to do against a player like Donovan Mitchell who's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. If you can just hold him to less than 50% shooting, the Pels are going to own the boards in a game like that because no Rudy Gobert. So I really felt like if they came out with the intensity that they needed to have after losing 2 home games, that they would take care of business, and they did. Now we'll see if it continues. That's always the key with this team. I think they come back home, right? Am I wrong about that?
No, they're on the road at Minnesota on Saturday.
That'll be interesting.
And Minnesota's starting to kind of get on a little bit of a roll.
Right.
They've dropped both games to Minnesota, and both those games are at home.
They struggle to guard the 2 great wings for the T-Wolves, Jimmy Butler and Wiggins. They don't have good matchups.
While shutting down Karl Anthony Towns in both games.
Well, Karl Anthony Towns is just psyched out because he's playing against the older Kentucky guys that he's idolized, and he said that before. These were the guys he looked up to. One of the reasons why he went to Kentucky was Cousins and Davis, and he gets against them, and he turns into like a starstruck kid. He's really, really been awful in those games, which is amazing. You know what's interesting? I found this out last night doing some research for the trip to the Super Bowl. The Pelicans play the T-Wolves in Minnesota the Saturday night before the Super Bowl.
Wow.
So that'll be interesting. There'll be a lot of celebrities in town for that. That's the same night as the NFL Honors. So we're going to have to figure out how we cover that because you're going to have potentially both Rookie of the Year awards going to Saints. We don't know that on the offensive side, but I think it's a shoe-in that Marshawn Lattimore is going to win the Defensive Rookie of the Year. We're not going to have any Saints really involved this year in the Hall of Fame festivities. There's no Saints on the ballot, but we do have 2 former LSU standouts, Kevin Mawai and Alan Faneca. They're in the mix. So it's going to be a lot of we have to figure out how we cover all that. I'm not sure if we'll get out to that Pelicans game or not.
Well, look, you look at the way the Pelicans played last night, and I'm sure Alvin Gentry could at least take a sigh of relief where people aren't screaming at him about how they're not disciplined and they don't play defense. Why don't we play a couple of quick Alvin Gentry sound bites, and then we'll take a break and get to some more sound from Alvin Gentry and Anthony Davis at the other end of the break. So why don't we have from Alvin Gentry, what's most pleasing about the win against Utah last night?
Oh, I just thought we did a good job, offensively and defensively. I thought we did a good job of moving the basketball, and then I thought we were really good defensively, especially taking away Mitchell after what he did to us the last game. Thought he was really good. He had 3 baskets near the end of the game. But all in all, I thought Drew locked in on him and did a really good job. And because we took him away, we took a lot of the other things away because we didn't have to make adjustments.
Let's also hear from Alvin Gentry on dealing with Boogie Cousins' injury, and he also got in foul trouble. He had 5 fouls, nearly fouled out of the game last night.
We weren't, but, he ended up making a big play for us down the stretch, driving baseline with the 3-point play. I thought our bigs did a really, really good job tonight of being up on the pick and roll and not allowing Donovan the opportunity to, well, we call it Ginobili, back into the middle of the floor. So we kept him on one side of the floor, and Drew was able to lock in on him. But our bigs was up. They did a great job. Thought AD did a great job of trying to take advantage of situations that we had. And then our guards did a great job. We just did a really good job of moving the basketball and moving ourselves and not getting stagnant, especially down the stretch. We struggled the last game, and, we could have felt a little pressure, but I thought our guys did a great job of just moving it and taking what was available.
All right, let's take a break right here on the show. When we get back, we'll hear some more from Alvin Gentry on Drew Holiday's effectiveness. Also, Anthony Davis talks about how well Drew Holiday played last night, not only offensively but defensively against Jeff's bestie up in Utah. Was it Donovan Mitchell?
What is it, Donovan Mitchell?
Your boy? What's his name?
Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year. They've played 35 games.
It's gonna be him or Ben Simmons.
Possibly.
There's no one else really involved, I think.
Kuzma?
He's pretty good.
In
not,
LA.
Not that level. He's good, though.
He's good. And the Lakers' record is going to hurt him, but you're right.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be. But what a pick they made getting that guy. Where is he? From Utah?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, I didn't really know much about his college career, but he's been a find.
What about LeVar Ball, Rookie of the Year?
No.
Not the dad. He's not the Rookie of the Year.
No.
It's Ben Simmons.
And he didn't. He's not the founder of the NBA either, like Google said on New Year's Day.
Oh. Google's what? Anyway.
Yeah.
Time to go to break. Yep. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Duncan Holder.
Founder of the NBA.
Yeah, on Monday, someone screenshot when they search for the NBA, it comes up LeVar Ball, founder NBA.
This report is brought to you by
pretty funny.
Compassion
That's hilarious.
Happy Thursday from the Fox 8 Weather
he
Center. I'm
and his
meteorologist
2 boys
Shelby
up in Lithuania
Latino,
right
and
now.
after a chilly
About to get
start,
that whole
we'll
thing
see
going.
plenty of sunshine with temperatures climbing into the mid-40s this afternoon. Overnight, another very cold one on tap with temperatures dropping into the 20s, meaning a freeze warning will be in effect for the South Shore, and a hard freeze warning will be in effect for areas north and west of the lake. From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shelby Latino. Have a great day.
Okay.
One with talents, hopes, and dreams. But poverty will steal those dreams. You can help a child find hope when you become their sponsor with Compassion International. Give a child a chance to dream again. Find out how at compassion.com/radio.
If you need a payday loan fast, try lendup.com. Apply online in minutes on your phone, and you could have cash in your account fast. Lendup.com is the better payday loan with no hidden fees, and good credit is not required. Visit lendup.com.
Well, I figure all of our guys are storied
up.
up. We've got all these stories.
Yeah, I mean, the story angles, you can see people asking questions about their story angles.
Subject to availability in your state.
Played out story angles.
Lendup.
Yeah. But we've got so much already in the can. Our guys don't
Get in
need
here and
much.
shut the door. What's up, boss? What's up?
Yeah, I was looking at
yes, sir,
some
usually, sir.
interesting
Enter, make
stats
it as a
with
jaybird.
Correct the mundo, sir, just as you ordered.
What?
Going
You
to
told us Jimmy
playoffs
John's was
with
going
some
on
of the
natural,
highest
sir.
numbers
I
of
told
any
you our meats are
quarterback.
now all natural. Huh? That's meat said, not employees.
Oh, I get it now. It's our meats that are unnatural.
Yes, Ed. Wood smoked ham, choice roast beef, real
Players
fresh turkey
get a
breast, all natural and freaky
$27,000
fresh.
bonus
embarrassing.
for winning
No kidding.
the wild
It's a good thing I
card.
got to you before your first delivery.
Yeah, well, I already spread the word,
So
sir.
those guys are all happy.
Naked?
Oh, no.
Among other things.
Naked? He's naked.
The Browns want a quarterback in the NFL draft. They'll have multiple options this spring. UCLA's Josh Rosen and USC's Sam Darnold both officially declaring they're widely considered the top prospects, along with Oklahoma's Baker Mayfield, Wyoming's Josh Allen, Cleveland with the first and fourth overall picks, and New York Giants pick second. The Celtics run away with a 102-88 win over the Cavaliers in Boston. And the return of former Celtic star Isaiah Thomas to TD Garden. He did not play on the second night of a back-to-back. LeBron James says the Cavs know what they're up against this year in the East.
East is pretty dang good this year. And right now we're not so good, great, not so good.
I thought it spread out over like
Kyrie Irving with 11
years.
points in his second game against the Cavs since being traded. Boston leads the East by 2.5 over Toronto, 4.5 over Cleveland. Steph Curry with a go-ahead three in the closing seconds to give the Warriors a 125-122 win over the Mavericks in Dallas. Golden State plays at Houston tonight in a marquee matchup of the best in the West. That's sports. Jay Corwin, NBC News Radio.
Yeah, see, spread. Nobody could avoid it after this year.
Whether you bless those boys or take flight, we're talking your teams. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Jeff, there's no doubt we've been seeing a different Drew Holiday since Rajon Rondo's gotten in there. And look, they needed him last night. They needed him to be the defender on Donovan Mitchell, made it happen. Let's hear what Alvin Gentry had to say about Drew Holiday's effectiveness in last night's win.
Well, I think when he's aggressive, he's pretty good, you know, and he's shot the ball well, and he's been able to take it to the basket. So in those situations, we like for him to be aggressive. And then obviously we had one of our bigs, and you know, DeMarcus in foul trouble, so we had to play smaller. And he has a tendency to be a little more aggressive offensively when one of the bigs are not out on the floor.
And even though they played smaller, Jeff, look, Rajon Rondo only played 15 minutes last night, which is, you look at their bench minutes, Darius Miller played 34, Cunningham 24, Jameer Nelson 19, and you would think that he would be involved in that smaller lineup, but he wasn't. So let's hear what Alvin Gentry had to say about Rondo's limited minutes.
No, I mean, it's just that, you know, we thought that having that, you know, defensive unit and having size out there was the way we go tonight. You know, nothing wrong with him. And some nights he plays, you know, mid-20s, or, you know, maybe even 30, and some nights he'll play the way he is tonight, but it's the same with other guys too. So we just do it from feel and try to see that we can get the best combination of guys out there.
Let's hear from Anthony Davis. Look, they had plenty of second chance points. Let's hear what he had to say about being able to, get second chance points. Yeah, good lead in.
It's on a rebound. So we harp on second chance points. We want to get 25% of the shots that we miss. So, myself just trying to be aggressive, and shots wasn't falling for me. So, I just wanted to get on the glass and just try to get some easy ones.
Let's also hear from Anthony Davis on Drew Holiday's performance.
He did a great job, able to score and then come down and guard one of their best players. So, one of their best players, and he was able to hold him to what I'm not sure what he averaged, but below his average. And then he had 40 last time, so to keep him far away from that was huge. But he did a great job just being physical with him and just making sure that he didn't get any easy looks tonight.
And here's one more from Anthony Davis, and it's kind of a combo question. It's on the team's overall effort in the win and being able to rebound after a poor stretch of games.
Yeah, once we share the basketball and just play for each other on both ends of the floor, then we're a tough team to beat. But sometimes we play on one end of the floor and not the other. So when we play for a full 48 minutes on both ends, then we give ourselves a chance to win every game. How satisfying is this victory after the way you guys lost the last two games? Yeah, we feel like we gave those two away. But to come in here and get a win, we haven't won here much, but coming here and take care of business, start the road trip all right was good for us.
Should I jump on the bandwagon again? Have they convinced me? Probably
no,
not.
Of course not. What's amazing to me when you talk to AD, you talk to Cousins, they say all the right things, but it doesn't translate to the actions. And the follow-up question in every one of those is, why don't you play with consistent effort every game? Why don't you play defense with the intensity you need every game? We know you're telling us you don't do it. Everybody knows that. How do you get down 20 to the Knicks and the Mavericks at home and then try and rally and pull a rabbit out of your hat? How did that happen? Why are you coming into the games without the intensity? That's the question that no one's answering.
I'm wondering if they would ever, even if you ask it, what kind of answer they'd even give. They're not going to give, well, hell, we just didn't give a crap tonight. I doubt you'd hear that, even though at times it looks it. So I don't know. Maybe they would say that. I'd be stunned, but I don't think they'd say that.
I think that's why Pelicans fans are frustrated, because they keep hearing the same things out of the locker room. We know what the problem is. Why is it happening? Where's the answer? Is it Alvin Gentry? Is it Dell Demps? Is it the leadership of the team? Is it, as Sean Payton says, everybody's hands are a little dirty? I think it's probably a little more of that. It's easy to blame one player or the head coach. I think everybody has to take ownership of the fact this team's 19-18, and I think everybody had higher expectations than that.
No doubt about it. 19-18, they're at the 8th spot in the Western Conference. Portland at 19-18 is one spot above them. Denver at 20-17 are at 6. OKC is 21-17 at 5, and then their next opponent, Minnesota, is at the 4th spot, 24-15, and the Clippers are at 9th, 17-19. And Clippers have actually won 4 in a row, so they're kind of working their way back into the mix. So it's not some given that just because the Pelicans are where they are right now that someone might not come and catch them. And I think that's something you didn't think you'd have to worry about, but that's still a possibility. I mean, you can't just like kind of just drag along and figure you're going to get in. You're going to have to work for it.
What about that beatdown that the Celtics laid on the Cavs? I thought that was interesting. I mean, that was kind of a statement I think they're making. I don't know if Gordon Hayward gets back this year, but Isaiah Thomas is almost coming back now for the Cavs.
Well, he played. Well, the weird thing about this is that Cleveland was coming off, I'm pretty sure, a back-to-back where Isaiah Thomas played 2 nights ago and came off the bench and scored 17 points in 19 minutes. I mean, obviously, this game, it's strange because they were at home and then they traveled to Boston to play, and then of course all the hoopla was going to be about LeBron versus Kyrie and the story that Jackie McMullen had yesterday, talking about why there were, I guess, diving a little bit deeper into the whole murky waters of why Kyrie wanted to leave in the first place. But yeah, Cleveland didn't play.
What was it?
Well, it was a lot of things. Specifically, just in kind of not necessarily generalities, but Kyrie felt that he was taking a backseat to LeBron, and then there were some words that, LeBron always calls him the kid, and he felt that that was LeBron talking down to him. He didn't like that too much. He didn't feel that he was as big of a part of the offense. In fact, one exchange that was in the story was Tyronn Lue was telling Kyrie to pass it to JR and to another guy, and Kyrie's response was, no, that's 23's job. So clearly there were some things there where it wasn't as rosy as it looked to be when they were winning, and then clearly when they got to the point where they knew they were going to have to make some kind of trade, that's when Boston came along to help kind of facilitate that, because they were looking for somebody, and Boston was clearly looking to figure out what they were going to do with Isaiah Thomas.
Well, the Cavs are 4.5 games back of Boston in the Eastern Conference. There's plenty of time to make up that ground when they get Isaiah Thomas back, but I think that's going to be something to watch, is can Boston hang on to the number 1 seed and get home court advantage in the East? Because I think we all agree it's probably going to come down to those two. I know Toronto's still in the mix there, but they have not been able to put it together in the playoffs. Consistently fallen short in the playoffs.
Well, as we go to break here, I'm looking at Boston. They're one of only 2 teams who actually keep opponents on an average below 100 points a game. The only other team, they average 98.2 points a game given up. The only team that's right behind them is San Antonio at 98.3 points per game. And if you're just wondering, you're keeping score, the Pelicans have dropped their opponent's points per game average by 0.2 points. They're only allowing 110.9 points
but
per game.
They are 7-0 when they hold teams to under 100 points in games.
They don't do that
It's
often.
happened 7 times all year.
Out of 37 games.
Just saying.
Just saying. All right, just saying. We got one more segment here. So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
The day of
What's going on?
purchase for Larry Holder.
Stop this.
The new
You need some
year
hot
will
toddies
begin
later
with
today.
No hair. The shearing
Tracy,
of the
can I get a
Holder
hot toddy,
will
please?
commence today at Tracy's Original Irish Channel Bar, 3rd and Magazine, from 4 to 6. 2 hours? Dude, that's a lot of hair. Sports 1280 New Orleans.
Americans are always on the move. They're in the car, or at the office, or working around the house. Americans
How do I
refuse
keep
to
getting
sit
on this
still.
NFL
So how
matchup
do you
thing?
connect
Do you
with
know
all
how that
those
works?
moving
They
targets?
tag us.
Easy.
Why are they
with radio.
tagging me? I get
Radio
caught up in
reaches
this, like,
93%
Twitter-
of Americans every
They
week,
tag- well,
more
they
than
want- they
Google,
pain in the
Facebook,
butt. They
and
want
even
you and me
television.
to, like,
because hey, who
acknowledge
has time
their
to sit and watch
stats.
TV?
Like,
So
I
if
get
you want to
tagged in
connect
it
with
all
all
the
those
time.
I know, and then
constantly
these
moving
fans
adults,
start going
teens,
back and
and
forth, and
millennials,
it's
get
like
to
my timeline gets taken over by
iHeartMedia.com
NFL
and put
matchup.
AM/FM radio to work for your company.
2018 is an opportunity to grow your business with top talent. But how do you find it?
Greg Olson factor, Larry's X
One
factor.
click posts your job
Telling
to over
you.
100 job
Come
boards.
out to-
Then, smart matching technology instantly alerts quality candidates about your job. No wonder 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
To try ZipRecruiter for free, just go to ZipRecruiter.com/expand. That's ZipRecruiter.com/expand.
One of the biggest social problems facing the New Orleans area is homelessness. We've all seen them, and there are many more just a missed paycheck away from ending up on the streets. But the Travelers Aid Society is here to help. The Travelers Aid Society offers crisis counseling on a walk-in basis, a safe day shelter, shower and laundry, and resources to help our homeless population get off the streets for good. Find out how you can help. Go to travelersaidneworleans.org.
This is water. Can you feel this, Helen?
Yeah, I forgot about Ben McAdoo.
Yes,
He worked for
water.
Mike McCarthy.
Helen, it's water.
All right, coming back.
Got-
Helen Keller overcame
got an opening
the
there.
world of darkness. Foresight. Pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
Dunc and Holder now. Eric Asher next at noon on Sports 1280 New Orleans.
Set up tomorrow's show real quick. We'll have Eric Edholm, covers the NFL for Pro Football Weekly. He will join us, and then we will talk with Jordan Rodrigue. She's a beat writer for the Charlotte Observer, covers the Panthers, so we will hear from her about, obviously, Saints-Panthers coming up. Just real quick, we haven't gotten to the injury report. Just yesterday, for the Saints, some pretty good news. No one missed practice, which is a big plus because we've seen that happen last couple of weeks. And I'll just rattle through them. Michael Thomas with a hamstring was limited. There were 7 players who were limited. Michael Thomas, Trey Hendrickson was limited with his ankle. Michael Ho'omanawanui with his concussion guard.
That was impressive.
I'm used to that. Just
impressive.
Or the Who Man. I can actually spell his last name quickly, and I'm stunned by it. There are smaller words I can't spell quickly. I don't know why. Senio Calamete with a knee, Josh Hill with the shoulder, Justin Hardy with a foot, and Teron Armstead limited in practice yesterday with a thigh injury. And here's the good sign. Teron Armstead spent plenty of time talking with the media yesterday. That is an indication he'll be ready to play. Now, is he ever going to be 100% this year? No. I'm sure Saints fans are wondering if he's ever going to be 100% again because he seems to get banged up. And even a 90% Teron Armstead is one of the better left tackles in the NFL. But the guy keeps getting injured. And, look, I feel like I know him pretty well. He gets mega frustrated. It's not like he's milking it or anything. He knows he's a vital part of this team. And, Jeff, we've seen when Armstead has not been in there and you kind of – when you're throwing in Andres Pete in on the fly during a game, he doesn't handle the transition all that well. So if you can get Pete back at left guard, have Armstead ready to go at left tackle, like I said, 85, 90%, I think you're in good shape if you're the Saints.
Yeah, Sean Payton talked today with local reporters about how fortunate they were to be able to draft Ryan Ramczyk, and also kind of praised Andres Pete mainly about his versatility, being able to slide out to tackle, and the challenge of that, and the fact that the Saints actually have 4 starting caliber offensive tackles if you throw Zach Strief in there, and how rare that is. There's a lot of teams that don't have 2 really good starting tackles. The Saints have 4 that can play and hold up against a team like Carolina. And Carolina, in the past, has not been a very blitz-happy team. But this year under Steve Wilkes, they've been blitzing a lot more than they have in the past. So it'll be interesting to see if they take those chances against the Saints, because Drew Brees, as we all know, is great at diagnosing blitzes, getting the ball out quick to his playmakers for big plays. They've done it repeatedly against the Panthers in the past. As I've noted, they're averaging, I think, 33 points a game in their last 7 games at the Superdome against the Panthers. So I don't think the Panthers are going to be able to keep pace with them scoring-wise unless Cam Newton has a big game and your X-factor, Greg Olsen, somehow causes some major matchup problems, which is always possible, because I don't know how they're going to defend Olsen.
I don't know how they're going to do it either. Even if you had someone like Kenny Vaccaro, I don't think he's the answer in coverage a lot of times, but you're forced to play him there, and I don't know. You thought I was joking, but in a clutch spot, I would not have a problem if they threw Lattimore on him. I really wouldn't. I just wouldn't.
Yeah, I could see that, but that would be unusual. But certainly against a team like Carolina that doesn't have a lot of other perimeter threats. I mean, Devin Funchess is a quality receiver, but he's more of a possession kind of guy than he is
he's a bigger body type of guy.
Yeah, he's not going to beat you deep with his deep speed, but he's a good player. There's no doubt. But they're struggling other than him. I mean, who else do they have? Curtis Samuel's been in and out of the lineup. He's been something of a disappointment, I think, in his rookie season from Ohio State. They've got what's the kid's name from LSU? I'm blanking on.
Oh, Russell Shepard.
Yeah, Russell Shepard. Yep. He's kind of a gadget guy, Deshaun Jackson type role. But there's not outside. That's why the Saints match up very well, because the Saints' vulnerabilities on defense right now are against a high-powered passing attack. When they play a really good quarterback with some options, they're going to struggle because they can't pressure very well. And that's not the strength of the Carolina Panthers and Cam Newton.
Well, Curtis Samuel's on IR, so he's not even a weapon. Like, that's someone, when we had Joe Person on earlier in the week, that's a guy that he was talking about how they don't have him anymore. So they're very limited in what they have at skill position. That's why I keep pointing to Greg Olsen. He's the guy who I feel like has beaten up on the Saints before. He has not played the last 2 games this year against the Saints. I assume that the Saints and Dennis Allen know they're going to have a plan to figure him out. And, of course, through these limited weapons, they're going to try to use Christian McCaffrey, and you're going to try to use Cam Newton more, running the football, doing what they can. And I don't think it's going to be as easy as we've seen these two performances in the regular season. I don't think it's going to be as easy.
I agree. I really don't think – I'll be surprised if the Saints put up 30 on these guys, just because I know I just stated that stat, but I just got a feeling there's a lot of pride in that Carolina defense, and they've been lit up by Breeze twice this year, and I just think they're going to come – with their A game. Look, it's the playoffs. Everybody's going to play with that same mentality. But guys like, Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis and Star Lotulelei, Julius Peppers, those guys are good players, and they have not been able to solve the Saints' riddle so far, and mainly because of those running backs, like Joe Person said. Alvin Kamara just gives them problems. But I just got a feeling the Saints' offense hasn't exactly been dominant lately. You wrote about that from the game against the Bucs. They've been inconsistent. And that wasn't a great Bucs defense. They're injury-riddled as well, and I think they held the Saints pretty much in check in that game.
The only 2 playoff teams on their schedule that they performed well against offensively were Carolina both times and Buffalo. They've had trouble with Minnesota. They had trouble against New England. They had trouble against Los Angeles. They had trouble against Atlanta. So I think that's something we're going to have to take into account. So, look, we're all done today here on Dunc and Holder. Just a quick reminder, quickly. Oh, gosh. 4 to 6, Tracy's this afternoon. My hair will be shaved off. I lacked faith in the Saints. It's going to be gone. Adios, muchacho.
It's going to be great.
Well, adios, hero. What's hair in
30?
Spanish? Anyone?
I should know that. I had 7 years of Spanish.
I don't So did I. I don't remember any of that.
I think I burned through those brain cells living in New Orleans all these years.
Exactly. And on every NOLA.com platform we have, this is going to be documented. So if you can't make it, you can watch it there. But try to come out. Look, we're going to have a good time with it. I mean, it's
going to be fun.
10 seconds.
I hope it's going to be fun. But we'll be back here tomorrow. The Truth, Eric Asher, coming up next here. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder.
All right, guys. See y'all tonight.
All right, buddy. Thanks, bud.
Oh, new competition for Alexa, Cortana, Siri, and Google.